Hey guys, it's Sam. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am bringing you guys another MAC collection haul. This collection released last week on Thursday. So as soon as it released online, I was on MACcosmetics.ca picking up the pieces that I wanted. And in typical Sam fashion, I was having a really hard time deciding, which ones I wanted. Did I need them all? Did I not? So of course, I picked up all. The collection I am talking about is, of course, the MAC Girls collection. If you haven't heard of this collection yet, it is a collection of 6 different palettes that MAC has kind of put a little spin on to try and tailor it to the different kind of personalities that girls are, to the way that we identify ourselves. And I think they did an amazing job keeping to, the MAC way. The palettes are still, very MAC oriented while still putting a little bit of a personal spin on each one of them. So as I said, there are 6 different palettes and each of them contains 8 eyeshadows and 1 highlighter, and they retail for $48 Canadian. So I'm going to stop blabbing and I will show you all of the palettes, and then I'm going to swatch them all for you, and then we're going to maybe talk about which one I like the best, which one I like the most, what I like about them, what I don't. So hopefully you guys can get a better idea of them all, so that if you decide you want to get 1 or 2 or pull a Sam and get all of them, you guys know which one is right for you. So like I said, there are 6 different palettes. Each of the palettes looks like this in size. So they're actually quite a bit smaller than normal MAC palettes. I should have grabbed like a naked palette just to compare sizes. Actually, I'm going to. Give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back. I'm back. So just to compare sizes, this is one of my naked palettes. This is the sizing. So it is pretty much the exact same length. It is just a touch bit skinnier. Having said that, it doesn't really make that big of a difference in terms of the pan sizes. Now, one of the things that I do really like about the palettes that MAC put out is they're very true to their brand and their identity. And what I mean by that is, unlike the naked palette where you get all of them in like rectangular strips, MAC kept with their ways. If you are familiar with MAC at all, I would say the majority of, their single eyeshadows for sure, and the majority of their quads and their x9s and their 15 palettes are all circular pans. There are a few. They put out like trio palettes every once in a while that come in strips, and I know that there's 5 palettes that come in strips, but for the most part they are all circles and they have kept with that whole vibe. I really like the way that this is done, where you get a couple bigger pans, a couple smaller ones, and then of course you get the highlighter. So before I show you all of the colors, I'm going to go through all of the different ones with you guys, and then we're going to go into each one individually. So they are all packaged in like this clear plastic sleeve that has all of the ingredients on the back. It tells you what's in each of the individual shadows, and then they also have like this clear plastic piece that has the name of the shadows. I will say that is probably one of my pet peeves. I know in none of MAC's palettes do they ever print the name of the shadows on the actual palette itself like they do in the naked palette, which I actually prefer. In a lot of the palettes, the names are all listed on the back of the palette. On these ones, they are not. So a part of me feels like if I were to lose these individual things, or if for any reason I switch them up between the palettes, I might not know the actual name of the product. It's not the end of the world, but in terms of my makeup channel and my YouTube, if I were to do any sort of a tutorial with this, it would make it really difficult for me to be able to tell you guys what colors I'm using if I don't know the names of the colors. So I'm going to pull all of the plastic sort of sleeves off of these just so that I can show you guys them a little bit better. Okay. So like I said, not only did they name them all after like 6 different kinds of girl personalities or whatever, but they all are designed to sort of match that personality. So the one that I keep holding up, the first one, is Mischief Minx. And it sort of has this like leopard print look, really pretty. And the other thing I really like about these, and I don't know if you guys are going to be able to tell, all of the lettering on the front is like embossed and it's raised above the palette. So that's really nice. It's a nice extra added detail that they did for these. All of them you've probably seen as I've been opening them also come with a mirror. So this Mischief Minx one is kind of more of your like bronzy and red tones. Really, really pretty, which I like because it does match the outside of the palette really, really nicely. The next one, and it's funny because this is probably the one that of them all I identify with the least. If you guys have been watching my channel for any length of time, you know that I'm not really a big pink girl. I don't really consider myself too much of like a princess. I've always been more of like a tomboy type, except for the fact that I love makeup. So this one, upon just the name, I would have thought this was the one I disliked the most, but I do find that for me, these are the colors that speak to me the most, the ones that I will probably wear on the most occasions. Having said that, there are other palettes in here where the colors inspire me more to do more creative looks, but this one, it would probably be my go-to for day-to-day, and that is the Prissy Princess palette. And it's like this light pink with polka dots all over it. And this one is like your grays, and there's like a peachy kind of color, and this is like, it looks kind of white on camera, but it is a really, really light pink shade. So there is that one as well. Another one that's not really for me, but again, I couldn't help myself, is the Fashion Fanatic. And look at the back of this palette. This palette is probably, in terms of like the design, the most intricate, the most like, it's supposed to be like high couture fashion, and I think they did a great job with like the faces on the back and everything. So this palette is your purples and your pinks and like your brighter fun colors. Now I will swatch each of the palettes afterwards. This is just going to be a quick overview. So another one of the palettes that I think is going to be really popular with everybody because it has so many wearable colors is the Basic Bitch palette. And this one has a really cool design too. It is very, very basic. It is the black and white. It kind of looks like, you know, chevrons. They're just alternating diagonal lines. Really, really cool. And this one has a lot of, again, like cooler tone colors. So grays, you've got that really, really pretty, like kind of a burgundy color. Really, really nice. I have dipped into this palette, and also the Prissy Princess one is what I have all over my lids today, if you guys can see that. So I can give you a little bit of a kind of like how I feel about how they blend and stuff, which I will do when I go more into them. This next palette is, I know one of the girls that I know at my MAC, I went there, so like I said, I bought the collection online, but I went to the MAC store like a day later to go pick up some stuff, and the palettes were all there, so I was able to sort of like actually feel all the shadows and swatch some of the colors, and I did really like them. And she told me that this one reminded her of like a chocolate bar, and that is the Power Hungry palette. It is like all metallic gold. Like, it kind of looks, it's either supposed to look like a bar of gold, or like she said, it reminded her of a chocolate bar, which kind of makes sense either way you look at it, because power hungry chocolate or gold power, however you want to look at it, really, really cool. And this one is, as you would expect, kind of like your gold tones, some browns in there, really, really pretty as well. And I think that's the other thing I really like about all these palettes, with the exception, I would say, of the Fashion Fanatic and the next one I'm going to show you. They all have such wearable colors in them. So the last one, and this one is probably, I would say, like, just appearance-wise, the one that speaks the most to me, although I don't consider myself the title of this, and that is Rockin' Rebel. I am not a rebel at all. I am such a stickler for following rules. It is ridiculous, to the point that I actually get like made fun of. Like, the first couple times I went to Jay's games this year, on your ticket, if you've ever been to like any kind of sporting event, it says like, oh, a suggested gate entrance for you to enter. And I thought that if I entered through any other gate other than the one printed on my ticket, that I was breaking the rules and I was going to get in trouble and kicked out of the game. Now, I have been to about 9 games this year, so I know that that is not true anymore, because I have gone in through other gates and it hasn't been a problem. But for the first couple, I was like, no, it says gate 12. We have to go to gate 12, and I got made fun of pretty hard by the people I went with. So anyways, like I said, this one is Rockin' Rebel, and it's got this really cool, like, green and blue camo motif, which I really, really like. Blue and green are my 2 favorite colors. I actually do really like camo. For, like, on occasions, I'm not crazy about it, but I have, like, camo shorts and camo hats and stuff like that. Really, really like it. This palette, so pretty. This reminds me a lot of, from their, like, Fruity Juicy collection, the blue palette that they put out. Like, look at those colors. This is like your blues. It kind of reminds me of water. And it's nice too because they put in like a gold and also like this shell sort of color. Stunning, stunning palettes. So now that you guys have seen all 6 in an overview, I'm going to go into each individual one and swatch them all for you and talk a bit about the shadows so we can see the pigmentation. And I will tell you guys, just from already swatching them at the store, a lot of times when, you know, I know MAC has this happen sometimes when they put out specialty palettes, you don't find the same quality in the shadows that you get in like the individual shadows of their regular line. That is not the case for these from what I have found so far. From the ones that I have actually touched and felt and swatched, they are super creamy, super buttery. I had zero problem whatsoever blending out the few shadows that I have used from a couple of the different palettes, and I have tried some of the mattes, a couple of the shimmers, and I have played around with the highlights. They are all really, really pigmented, really, really nice to work with. So let's start with the one that I think is going to speak to the most people, and that is the Basic Bitch palette. So let's go in and swatch these colors. I'm going to show you them one more time just so you guys can see what they all look like. Like, look at how buttery, how smooth. That's with a very, very light touch that I was able to get that sort of a pigmentation. Absolutely stunning shadows. I really, really like MAC's kind of metallic formula. I think they are really creamy. They do blend really well. You guys can see the pigmentation is stunning, and it does work just as nicely with a brush as well. And I also like that MAC shadows, like a lot of places have been putting out their formulas, will work both wet and dry. So if you wanted this to pop maybe a little bit more, if that's not enough pop for you, you could always spray your brush with a little bit of Fix Plus or whatever other setting spray you might have on hand that you might use. Give it an added little pop. So that is the first color, which is Sly Girl. And then there's this next color down. It's more silver and it's Tattletale. Now I didn't pick up quite as much on that one, but again, really, really pigmented, just a lighter sort of shimmer. This color, and their mattes feel like butter. Like, I cannot even talk about how much I'm obsessed with these shadows in the few that I've gotten to play with. Even if you guys are like unsure of it, go to your local MAC store and find where they have the palettes displayed and swatch a few and you will see what I mean. So this color is Me, 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 and it's like a matte gray. And then you've got that beautiful burgundy color, which is Hell in Heels. Like that. Next up is almost like, it's kind of like a taupe color. It's in between a green and a brown, and it is called Miss Personality. And it looks like that. That is a really, really, really pretty like crease color, blending color. The next color is Big White Lie. And then you get Text Me Later. I love the names of all these too. They're so cute. Right there. Last shadow in this is called Game Player, and it is like the black shadow. And this is always for me like a true test of a palette, like how black is the black. That one's pretty good, I gotta say. I have MAC Carbon as well from the regular line, and it is quite similar to this. So the last thing in here I'm going to do is swatch the highlighter, which is called Love This Bitch, and it is like a pink pearlescent sort of a highlight color. So it looks like that on my hand. Hopefully you guys can see like the sheen in that. And I'm going to put it right there. Absolutely beautiful highlighter. Now I could see that maybe for someone like me who's quite a bit more fair, although I am pretty red right now, I was at my sister's house on Sunday out by the pool and I did my thing and didn't put sunscreen on, even though everyone's like, do you want sunscreen? No, I don't need it. It's fine. And I got a little bit burnt, and then I did go tanning yesterday as well. So I'm a little bit more red than usual, but absolutely stunning highlighter. And if you have any experience with MAC highlighters, they blend so beautifully and so seamlessly into your skin. It just feels like you're wearing nothing. So that is that first palette, Basic Bitch. I mean, you can see that a lot of the shadows are definitely more pigmented than others. But overall, it does give you a really good variety, and they are all very, very buildable and blendable, and they work really, really well together. That is one of the things that MAC is really, really great at, is that when they put a palette together, all of the colors are very, very complementary of each other, and you can get a lot of great looks from one. So that is the first palette. Now the next one we're going to do, let's do the Power Hungry one, because I haven't swatched this one yet and I'm really curious. So this is the kind of golds. Show you guys for reference. I'll try and go a little faster because this video is going to take forever if I don't. So this first color here, just get my little guide, is called Totally Obsessed. It is a matte and it is like a peachy kind of like all over the lid color. Really, really nice if you are fair to just kind of like do a base color on top of your whole lid up to your eyebrows with this before like blending out with other colors. And then you get Bossing It, which is that beautiful gold. Like I feel like a lot of like the naked shadows, I find that the metallic ones are a lot more pigmented. So the next one is called Bling Mistress. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Soft Brown. Kind of a similar sort of thing. And then you get Money Mad, which is like a peachy sort of a color. Hopefully you guys can see. This one actually, I'm going to put it up here because I want to see how similar it is to that first one. So there is a little bit of a difference. That one definitely is a little more peach tone. That one's a little more yellow, but they are quite similar, which is weird because they do look like pretty different in the pan. I don't know, I guess depending on the light. The next one is Hot to Trot. Looks like that. And then you get Win Some, Lose Some. Got that bronzy kind of color. That one is absolutely stunning. That's probably my favorite so far. Definitely of this palette, maybe of that one too. I really like those like bronzy colors that could almost pick up a little bit of blue depending on the lighting you're in. So this next color is Something's Fishy. It's another one of those gold. I do kind of actually want to put it up here because I want to see how similar it is to that gold. Oh, not at all. This is more of like a copper gold and that's like a yellow gold. That's nice because you always worry that when they double up on like a gold in a palette, you're kind of like, well, what was the point of that? But they are actually quite a bit different. And then this last eyeshadow is Dangerously Elegant. It's another almost like duochrome. It kind of goes like olivey green right there. And finally, we're going to do the highlight, which is called Gimme That, and it is like a golden highlight. So again, I'll show you it on my finger first. And we'll put it right here. That one is also beautiful. I'll blend it out a little bit just so you guys can see how well they blend. Absolutely stunning, subtle highlight. I think I liked the first one a little bit better. I will be honest. I found a lot of these colors were more pigmented than the ones I have right now. Particularly like in the middle here, and these two you can't really see all that well of this one. But again, they are really, really workable. I'm sure they're quite buildable. Like I said, I haven't played around with this palette yet, but I will, and I will let you guys know how it goes. Also, if you guys want to see me do a tutorial or anything with any one of these palettes, let me know down below which palette you want to see. Also, when I'm done this, I'm kind of curious as to which palettes everybody else would buy. So maybe let me know which palette was your favorite of all of them, which one you're a little bit disappointed in, which one you hoped would be your favorite, like I did, where I was so sure just on first inspection that the Rockin' Rebel was going to be my palette. I just threw it on the ground. But the Prissy Princess, for whatever reason, speaks to me the most. Let's look at the Prissy Princess next, since that one is the one that I have on right now. Just to remind you of the colors. Oh, you can see my Montreal Canadiens cup right there in the mirror. My bad. Okay, so this first one is like a light pink, and I actually have it all over my lids today, and it's called Color Me Spoiled. Looks like that. It almost looks white on camera, and it does look quite white on my finger as well, but it is like a very, very light baby pink. It is a little bit chalky, but still not too bad. Like, it's very soft, it just looks kind of chalky. Next one is Eternal Optimist. Like that. Really, really light color, another good buildable color for the crease. Then you get Sweet Tart. It's like a peachy pink kind of shimmery color. Like that. Next is probably my favorite color in the palette, and it is too good to be true. It is this gorgeous, like, it's kind of like a silver, but not quite like a white silver, if you know what I mean. Looks like that. Super shimmery. Then there is Prissy Princess. I'm guessing the one that the palette is named after. Looks like that. Kind of a taupe sort of a color. Right there. And then Fabness, which is quite similar actually to that one. Just a little bit more pigmented, a little bit more of like a bluey kind of undertone, I would say. Next you get Spoil Yourself. Now this one is the darkest one, and I will say that of all of the shadows I've touched in all of the palettes so far, this one was the driest, most chalkiest, but it still looks pretty pigmented to me, and very pigmented to me. And I have it on my eyes right now, so I do know that it is super pigmented when you use your brush as well. The last shadow is Good Girl and You Know It. And that is there. And then the highlighter in this one is like a peachy pink highlighter. And it is called She's a Rainbow. So that's it there. And I'll put it down here. That one's probably my favorite of the highlights we've swatched so far. Like I said, I can see all the colors really well, and I'm hoping you guys can too. Same thing, some are definitely more pigmented than others. Others probably will take a little bit more work to blend in and to add pigmentation. But they're beautiful to work with, and again, I think for me personally, these are the colors that I will use the most often on an everyday basis. So the next one we're going to do is the Mischief Minx, which is the one that was kind of all of the bronzes and the reds. I do really like this as well, but I found that because I did just pick up like the Naked Heat palette, and you know, the Modern Renaissance palette has a lot of those I can't speak today, pinks and reds and like coppery sort of tones, that this might be like a little bit of a similar thing. Having said that, it didn't stop me, and what I like about this as opposed to those ones is you also still get like your color that's almost a black, and there's a pretty big range in that whole copper thing. Not a lot of color. There are a couple colors that look pretty similar, I will say. Like those two could almost be the same, these two here, except one is matte and one's not. Same with these two, but we'll see when we swatch them out. So first one is called Mischief Minx, so it's the one that the palette is called, and it's that orange color. That is, for an orange shadow, that is absolutely stunning. I really like that. I didn't think I would as much, but that would be really fun to play with, I think. Then you get the Frisky. This is that golden shade. Definitely more of a yellow gold. Right there. Next one up is going to be Natural Tease. Kind of an orangey copper. And then the one that I think kind of looks the same as it, but we'll see, is Shenanigans. So it's like shenanigans, but it stops it with she and then puts like a little hyphen in. Looks like that. Oh, nope, they're actually not that similar. This one is definitely more orangey and that one is more brown toned. I could see you getting away with, like, if you were going out and picking out one or the other, you could definitely get away with one or the other. You don't need both, but since they're both here, why not? Then you get Flaming Femme. It's like a matte terracotta red. Next up is Schemer. I really like all the names of these. I think they're so funny. And they did a really good job of, like, doing the names to coordinate with the palettes as well. Like, it's all about, like, different, like, mischief and scheming kind of things you could do. It's so funny. So that's that one there. And then you get Been There, Done That. Again, those two are pretty close to each other. And then the last eyeshadow is Totally Trouble, and that's like it's kind of like a charcoal gray, I would say. It's almost black, but it's more charcoal. Right there. And then this one for the highlighter, it is more of a copper sort of a highlight. Get a good swirl going here. Looks like this. And there it is right there. I really like this a lot more than I thought I would, actually. So I still think I like the Prissy Princess most, but I think that this one might be a close second between this or that Basic Bitch palette. I'm not too sure. But I'm really liking them, and I am really happy that I bought all of them, even though I definitely didn't need to. So let me clean my arm off. So next we're going to do the Fashion Fanatic. So that's all of like the pinks and the purples, I think. I want to save the Rockin' Rebel one for last, because that is the one that like the packaging is my favorite for. Okay, clean arm. Remind you of what the Fashion Fanatic looks like. Whoop. So, first color is Totally Fierce. Kind of like a peachy kind of color. Hopefully you guys can even kind of see that. That didn't swatch very well. Take two. Really light color, that one. It doesn't look like it should be that light. Like, I'll show you it in the pan. Like, that looks like it would be a lot more vivid than that is. But maybe it's just the lighting. I think the sun is kind of moving around. Let me get a little more daylight in. Does that help? A little bit. Not a lot. Maybe you guys can see it a little bit better there. Next color is Outfitted. This is like a rose gold sort of a color. That's pretty. I really like that color. And then it's On the Hip side. These colors so far have been like, I thought this would be like, other than the Rockin' Rebel, I thought this would be like the boldest palette. So far I'm kind of underwhelmed with what I thought it was going to be, but we are getting into some of the bolder colors right now, so we'll see. This one is Style and Influence. It's like a lavender sort of a purple color. Hopefully you guys can see that. This one should have been the Princess palette. Look at some of these colors. Maybe a little too girly for me. I don't know. This next one is called Shop, Shop, Shop. It's like a purple pink iridescence. And then this is for sure the brightest one. This is what the palette's named after. Let's hope it's good. Is Fashion Fanatic. It's like a bright fuchsia. That's kind of underwhelming. Next one is Mad Mod. It's another kind of rose gold shimmer. Let's put it near this one. I just want to see the difference. Little bit. That one's a little bit more purpley than that one, I would say, but again, close enough. And the last color is Wild Card, and it is the darkest one in the palette again. I also like that every one they seem to put, I don't know, maybe not. A lot of them, if there's like a black color, it's always the last one in the palette. It's always kind of in the same spot. Okay, this one was really chalky to feel this particular shadow. Like, I don't know if you guys can see the chalkiness on my finger. This one's Wild Card. It's pretty good pigmentation, but like I said, when I was pulling it out of the palette, it was quite chalky. So there's the shadows, and then the highlight for this one is like an orangey kind of highlight, and it is called Must Have It. Yeah, again, that was pretty underwhelming. This has definitely been my least favorite palette, as I thought it would be. Still really pretty colors. But on my advice, I would say unless you know that these are the exact colors that you need, you're loving that lavender and stuff like that, I would say this is the palette to probably skip in the collection. That's just a personal opinion. For me, this one will get the least amount of use. But again, if you do want to see me try and do a look with this and give it another shot on my eyes, I definitely will do that and we can see how it goes. Maybe it wears better on the eyes when it's all blended out and packed on than it's showing on my arm. So the last one is the Rockin' Rebel palette. This is the one with all of the blues in it. Really quickly to remind you guys, this is what the palette looks like. This one also has like the most stark white of all the highlighters. So this first color is called Mega Moody. I wish you guys could feel these. They feel like butter. They're stunning. Oh man. I'm kind of glad I saved this palette for last because it looks like it's going to have the most like stunning colors. So the next one is called Bleached Out. This one's kind of like an iridescent white. I like that one. And then Guilty as Can Be, but guilty spelt like G-I-L-T, like gilted in gold. And it is a gold color. And then you get the bright, bright color in here. It is Denim Jeans, but jeans is spelt like genetic jeans, not like the pants. Look at that. How beautiful of like an electric blue is that? Let's see. Oh yeah. Never mind, I changed my mind. This one's my favorite palette for sure. I had the right idea. I knew looking at it that this one was my favorite. I've only swatched half of the colors, and so far, this is my favorite. This next shade is called Bikers and Babes. Oh my goodness. How stunning. That's like a mermaidy kind of color. For all my girls out there that identify as a mermaid, look at that color. Oh man. Next one is Rockin' Rebel. It is a green, but like a really nice green. Almost like a teal, not even a teal, but it's not quite like a forest green. It's sort of in between, if you know what I'm saying. Oh, that was underwhelming. I'm going to try that again. That made me sad. Found one of my first disappointments. Yeah, that's a little underwhelming, but it is still really pretty. For like a lighter look, I just thought it would be as vivid as that blue was. Next color is Bad Influence. It's like another charcoal gray sort of a color. There we go, back to normal. Back to heavy pigmentation. And the last eyeshadow is called Blackish, but it's like BLK-ish. And it's like a deep kind of blue. That's beautiful too. This one's my favorite. Forget everything else I said. If you will wear blues and greens, go out and get this palette. This one's the best. And the highlighter is Let It Rock. Does anybody remember that song? No, I'll link it down below. That's all that I can think of now is like I'm now singing that song in my head. If you don't know what I'm talking about, click the link down below. It was like a big song when I was in university the first time around. So that is the highlight. Like I said, it is definitely the most white of the highlights of these palettes. Let's see. Oh yeah. That's my favorite. So, now you guys have seen all 6 of the palettes. If I am going to rank them of my favorite to my least favorite, Rockin' Rebel, 100% my favorite palette. This one, need I say more? Even that green, now that I'm looking at it further back, is pretty good. It's just not quite as pigmented as some of the other ones. This palette, for sure, my favorite. If I had to give up all of them but one, this is the one that I would keep. Next favorite is probably still the Prissy Princess one, that pink, the one I have on today. Then I would definitely say Mischief Minx. Then Basic Bitch, Power Hungry, and then you guys all probably could have guessed my least favorite was the Fashion Fanatic. I just found this one was kind of a dud of the 6. But definitely go check these palettes out for yourselves. Feel them out. Maybe you'll get better use out of them than I will. Maybe you'll have different opinions than I will. If you're not a blue person, obviously this isn't going to be your thing. But blue and green, my favorite 2 colors. this palette just makes me so happy. If you guys want to see me do tutorials with any of these, let me know down below. Also, I want to know which one is your favorite palette, which one's your least favorite, which one you maybe identify most with as a name title. Which one do I identify? I talked about like how I'm not a Rockin' rebel, nor am I a Prissy princess. I probably am just a pretty basic bitch, I would say. Other than that, none of these really speak to me. I'm not very mischievous. I'm definitely not super into fashion. I don't think I'm power hungry. Maybe my friends would tell you differently. But yeah, let me know what's your favorite. If you picked any of these up, let me know how you like them. If you make videos or tutorials and you do something with this, link it down below. I would love to see it. If you like these kind of videos, please hit that thumbs up button. Also, subscribe to my channel. I know this is a really long video. Thanks for sticking it out with me, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye.